She told me about the wine tour while adjusting her lipstick in the hallway mirror. Not the shade she usually wore around me. This one was deeper, bolder, like something she'd wear to be noticed by someone else. Her voice was light, deliberately casual. Babe, they already booked it weeks ago. I totally forgot it's our anniversary weekend. Can we just reschedule? She didn't even turn to look at me. She kept applying the lipstick, blotting it on a tissue like this conversation meant nothing. My hands were still damp from washing the dishes. I stood in the doorway, frozen, watching her reflection instead of her actual body. The air had a pressure to it. Like the moment before thunder rips open the sky. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket, a notification. Her location history. I'd enabled it months ago after she lost her phone at the airport, and we both forgot it was still running. Until now, it showed a trip. Last weekend. To a vineyard 2 towns over. The same one she now claimed she hadn't gone to yet. I didn't say anything. I've learned that silence is louder than suspicion. I just watched the mirror. It told me more truth than her lips did. She was still rambling. Something about how it was just a silly mistake, how the girls always plan stuff last minute, how we could do something next weekend instead. Her hands moved gracefully, like she was brushing away the importance of our anniversary the way you'd sweep crumbs off a table. I'll make it up to you, she said, flashing a quick smile into the mirror, eyes never meeting mine. I nodded once. Just once. I think it unsettled her. She blinked too fast. Sure, I said. We'll reschedule. That word reschedule felt like a blade tucked under silk. She walked past me with a quick peck on my cheek, the kind that lands without warmth. I stayed there, staring into the mirror she'd just left. For a moment, I saw myself clearly. Not the fool. Not the victim. Just a man who'd finally noticed the hairline fracture running through his marriage. Later that night, I sat in bed pretending to read. She was beside me, texting with a faint grin on her lips. When I asked who it was, she said, Marla, just gossip. Tell her I said hi. I replied. She hesitated. Just long enough to confirm Marla wasn't on the other end of that message. I turned off the lamp and rolled away from her. I didn't need light to see what was already breaking. The next morning, I noticed she didn't kiss me goodbye. Not really. Just a brush of lips near my temple while she scrolled something on her phone. Her keys were already in hand, jacket slung perfectly over her arm, like she'd rehearsed the exit. I told her to drive safe. She said, always, but her tone had no weight. I waited until I heard the garage close. Then I pulled out my own phone. I wasn't looking to catch her. Not yet. I was still trying to understand what this feeling was. It wasn't jealousy or fear or even anger. It was distance. Not the kind you measure in miles. The kind you measure in eye contact that doesn't last. The first clue had already been dropped. The vineyard visit she claimed hadn't happened. Now I started paying attention. Not searching, just noticing. Her phone was always face down lately. And her laugh, that carefree, belly-deep one she used to save for private moments, now appeared when she was texting. Never with me. That weekend, she brought home a bottle of wine, said it was a gift from a client. She dropped the name of a boutique vineyard like it was no big deal. I turned the bottle in my hand slowly. It was from the same place that showed up in her location history. I thought you hadn't gone yet. I said casually. She blinked. A pause too long, then a laugh, though. No, this was just sent from the venue. Promo thing. Marla's cousin arranged it. She was a good liar, too good. But good liars always forget the details. Later that night, she showered longer than usual. I sat at her laptop, typing quietly. I knew her passwords. We'd set them together. One for streaming, one for shopping, one for banking. She never changed them. Her browsing history was mostly clean. But her email inbox had a receipt for a tasting upgrade package, booked under a name that wasn't hers. A man's name. Julian. No last name. Just Julian reservation. I didn't lose my breath. Didn't clench my jaw. I just stared at the screen for a long time, When she came out wrapped in her towel, she smiled and asked what I was watching. I told her it was a documentary on harvesting grapes. She laughed, not realizing it wasn't a joke. That night, when she leaned over and touched my arm in bed, I flinched, not because I didn't want her touch, but because I no longer knew what it meant. Was it affection or guilt? I started sleeping a little closer to the edge of the bed. I didn't accuse her. I didn't check her phone again. That wasn't the point anymore. The point was noticing. Watching the show she was performing and choosing not to interrupt it. Because performances only end when the audience walks out, not when the actor gets caught. By the end of that week, she mentioned another wine event, another friend's birthday. I smiled and said, "You should go." She tilted her head, suspicious. She was expecting resistance, and my calm gave her nothing to push against. Inside, I felt the ground shifting, but not like an earthquake, more like a slow erosion. Piece by piece, I was letting go. I waited until she left for her next event before I began the real work, not the emotional digging. That part was done. I already knew, not everything, but enough. Now I needed clarity, proof, precision. Not for a confrontation. For me, because I wasn't going to be the man who exploded. I was going to be the man who walked out clean first. I started with our shared credit card account. I knew she used it for points, always bragged about rewards. I found a charge from last weekend, a wine tasting lodge. It wasn't for a group rate or a party. It was a 2-person upgrade with a private suite. I clicked for more details. Her name wasn't on the booking. Julian, again. There it was. Next, I opened our phone carrier's website. Call logs, not messages. Those were gone, deleted long ago. But call records. She forgot those still existed. Nighttime calls, all outbound. 11:42 p.m., 12:08 a.m., 1:17 a.m. Julian. Some calls were short. Others lasted more than an hour. One of them happened while I was asleep next to her, hand resting on her back. I remembered that night. I'd woken up cold. By now, I wasn't even angry. I was calculating. I ordered a detailed cell tower report, something she'd never think of. It would show where those late-night calls were made from. Her location. Julian's. I wanted overlap. I wanted one moment where both signals converged. She came home that evening flushed and cheerful. Threw her coat on the hook like a teenager, made a joke about how the girls gossiped for hours. She even brought me a pastry from some cafe downtown. A peace offering I didn't ask for. I took it, ate it, looked her in the eyes and said, "Sounds like fun." She tilted her head, searching for something in my tone. I gave her nothing. That weekend, she suggested a movie night. I agreed. We sat on the couch, and she leaned her head on my shoulder like she used to. She laughed too loud at the comedy, then glanced at me, waiting for a smile that didn't come. She shifted away slightly. I noted the time. I'd already packed the wedding album that morning, boxed my personal documents, changed my passwords, rented a short-term unit across town. All I was waiting on now was the cell data. I didn't wanna fight. I wanted her to face her lies alone in a room full of facts, because I wasn't going to shout. I was going to vanish.